I remember sitting down with a young couple and talking about their wedding. As a speaker, a professional speaker, I've spoken at everything from middle school and elementary school assemblies when I was 19 years old, talking about fire safety, to public events of 40,000 as the master of ceremonies, to weddings as the master of ceremonies. I've done leadership teaching and training for members of government, for the Parliament of the Congo, for the Supreme Court members of the Congo, for large financial companies like GE Finance, for small companies, entrepreneurs in network meetings. I've even done some training for training people, like at Dale Carnegie, where I coached for almost 5 years. And in all of those, I realize the core philosophy that I've operated with most of my life comes into play. And as I sat down with this couple to talk about helping them organize and MC their wedding, they asked me, "What makes you different from every other DJ out there?" And I said, "Well, not every other DJ out there is a professional speaker." Now, many of them have stood in front of a few dozen crowds, but not everybody is a professional speaker. And because of that, I operate, even at your wedding, with a completely different philosophy. See, my philosophy is not that I am your music maestro and entertainer for your event, therefore responsible for ensuring that your dance floor stays packed all night. While that is one of my target objectives, it doesn't define who I am. And so the relationship that I have with the people at your wedding is a little bit different. My job as a motivational speaker is to be able to read the crowd and speak to the people in front of me. My ability to read people and understand what it is they want and need in this moment is crucial in being a successful leadership coach, leadership trainer, and motivational speaker. And when I bring that skill set to the dance floor to MC your event, whether it's your wedding or it's your fundraising banquet or whatever it is, the ability to manage the words that are important to the people in the audience is of high priority. That's simply not true of the average DJ. Even some DJs who are booked on a regular basis are more intimidated to be on the microphone or engage with the crowd. They simply want to manage the music from one song to the next, or mix a little bit, or wiki a little bit, but they really don't want to be engaged in the psyche of the group who is attending your event, whatever kind of event it is. Because I am first a motivational speaker, that's kind of my natural bent and tendency. When you put a microphone in front of my face, it doesn't matter what the crowd is in front of me. My first objective is to read the crowd and respond to them with what they want and need. Part of that goes back to my overall operating philosophy, which I've had but not articulated in so many words probably most of my life. So I want to take the rest of this week and I want to break down what that operating philosophy is. And you've seen it all over my Facebook page, all over the website. It's the title of two of the books that I'm releasing this month. They carry this core title. And the four principles within this philosophy, they don't change much. Now, that doesn't mean that they only fit one thing. What it means is these principles tend to carry across all of those audiences that I deal with. Whether you're talking about a classroom of high school students, an auditorium of 2,500 high school students, an assembly of middle school students, or the gathering of the Parliament of the Congo, these four principles are important to all of them. Now, you've heard me espouse this philosophy before. It's just called Learn to Roar, the Learn to Roar philosophy. The first time I really articulated it into words was in January, I believe, of 2014 for the Roaring Lambs Conference, for their leadership conference. 200 or 300 people were there. I was one of, I believe, 12 speakers that day, and everyone spoke on the topic of leadership. And I said, you know, this is my philosophy. We all need to learn to roar. Well, that roar is not just being vocal and being bold and being direct about what it is that we hold dear to us, what we find important to us, what we want the world to know about us. See, roar is actually an acrostic. Some call it an acronym. Really just depends. The proper word is acrostic, but not everybody sees it that way. ROAR is 4 principles. And I believe that whether you're going out of high school and into college, or out of college and into your career, or moving from one level of leadership to the next, or simply preparing yourself to move from one level of leadership to the next, or if you're a communicator who trains students or trains other people, these 4 principles are absolutely key to your success. I truly believe that. I've seen it true in my own life, and as I've coached these 4 principles in the lives of people around me at all levels of maturity, experience, education, and influence, these 4 principles have been life-changing for them as well. Today I want to talk about just the first R. The first R is relevant. Relevant. The first R in learn to roar is relevant. Here's what I know about relevance. Relevance is the currency of the information age. Let me say that again. You might want to write that down. Relevance is the currency of the information age. Why is that important? Ever pick up your phone and realize you've got 9 billion emails and 19,000 tweets and 250 new Facebook Messenger messages and 1,100 Snapchats waiting for your view? None of us find ourselves today in a dearth of communication or in a dearth of information. Young people today have at their fingertips, so long as they have Wi-Fi or cellular signal, more information in seconds than most people studied for their doctoral thesis, or all the way to get to their doctorate. The amount of information that is available is unbelievable. The challenge with sorting that information is moving that information from available into our lives in a place where it matters and it makes a difference. And the difference between those two, the fulcrum of that lever, if you will, is relevant. It's not enough to know that there is information and a lot of information about any given topic. It's not enough to know that the person that you've hired to speak or to train or to lead your organization has a lot of knowledge, a lot of degrees, and many, many letters after their name, or a gigantic long resume, a history full of success. What's more important to know is not that they have all of the knowledge and experience and education and information, but that they can make that knowledge, wisdom, experience, seasoning, education relevant to your organization. Relevance is the currency of the information age. I heard a study the other day. It's pretty massive when you think about the idea of integrity. More young people today feel like it's a bigger integrity problem to litter than to lie on your resume or your job application. Think about that for a moment. Many young people entering the workforce today feel like it's a bigger moral problem to litter than to lie on your resume or your job application. Relevance is the currency of the information age. When you understand the magnitude of that, what that tells you is you've got to figure out what it means to be relevant to the people that you will work for, work with, serve alongside, teach, train, provide information to. You've got to figure out what it means to be relevant to them. See, relevance isn't about you. It's not about padding your resume or padding your job description or padding your past experiences. It's not about lying to make yourself look better. It's not about, and I know this happens, I've seen it happen, I've heard marketers recommend it. If you're not in a category and at the top of the category, whether it's a speaking topic or an area of expertise, create a new one so you can be at the top. You may be the only one in the category, but then you can be at the top. If you've never won an award for your book, for your speaking, for your training, for your qualifications, if you've never won an award for that, create an award for that and make yourself the first recipient and then give it away to other people later. I've seen it happen. That is not what makes you relevant. It's not your history that makes you relevant. John Maxwell titled an entire book, Everyone Communicates. Few connect. Relevance is about connecting with what's important to those in front of you. What's important to those you lead? What's important to those that you say you care about? I mean, the age-old question for anyone who's being taught, trained, or led is the same. What's in it for me? Your new employer is asking the same question. Your new college board, who will decide whether you get your doctorate or not, they're asking the same question. Your new students, your new coaching clients, your new church members, they're all asking the same question. What's in it for me? I see that you have all this vast knowledge and experience and a grand resume and a great education, but what's in there for me? What about who you are and what you do is important to me? And if you can't answer that question legitimately, you have no relevance in their life. Now, there's some elements to being relevant that are very important, and they're very obvious when they happen. You can ask yourself these questions to determine if maybe you're being relevant in the way you speak, the way you lead, the way you teach, the way you interact with strangers, as well as those who sign your paycheck or report your grades. Ask yourself these questions. Am I relatable? Am I relatable? Am I the kind of person that walks into a room with that, you're here kind of feeling, not about myself, but about everyone else? Think of the way the puppy dog reacts when you come home after a long day. The puppy just knows that he's glad you're home. He doesn't care how bad you've been or how stupid you've been, or even if you kicked him the last time you came through. I mean, you've got to kick a dog a lot of times before they stop loving you, but eventually they will. But are you relatable? Are you the kind of guy that a dog runs to and says, hey, pet me? Are you the kind of gal that the neighbor's cat will jump up in your lap and love on you? Are you the kind of relatable person that anybody at the coffee shop will stop and talk to? Are you relatable? I don't know the answer to that question. It's a question that you have to ask and answer on your own. You need to know if you're relatable, if other people like to be around you, if conversations with you are all about you, or if people walk into the conversation asking in the back of their mind, what's in it for me, and walk away with, wow, I'm enlightened. It's a powerful question. Are you relatable? Here's your second question. Are you respectful? If you want to have relevance in someone else's life, you have to be respectful. Respect their faith, respect their education, respect their, even if they don't show a gigantic educational list of letters behind their name and endorsements and accomplishments behind their name, maybe they're even homeless, but are you respectful of their humanity? Are you respectful of their belief system? Are you respectful of their identity? Are you respectful of the ways that they get through life? There's a big push today to be as diverse as possible. The more minority columns you can put yourself in, the more powerful you seem to be. Are you respectful of the ones that are not in the mainstream? Are you respectful of those who are a little bit different than yourself? or a lot different than yourself. There was a recent example of a gentleman who was hired for a new job, and before he was introduced to the organization as a whole, he showed up in the back of the crowd, so to speak, dressing, smelling, behaving like a homeless man. And when he was introduced by the board as the new pastor of this large church, the crowd looked around on the stage. They stood and applauded. They looked for him to come from the wings of the stage, from the green room in the back, or maybe even to descend from heaven on to the platform. And no. This disheveled, rank, unkept, uncouth, poorly represented gentleman stood in the back. The one they had asked to move twice because he was too close to the front and too close to the aisle. Stood and walked through the congregation to the platform, where he took the mic and began to recite the words of Christ himself when he said, "As you have done unto the least of these, you've done it also to me." How do you treat the widows, the orphans, the poor, the needy, the hungry, the homeless, the imprisoned? Are you respectful? There seems to be a big push these days as well to be quote-unquote authentic. And I say quote-unquote authentic because the authenticity that becomes exposed in this process is an authenticity that says, I'm going to be me whether you like me or not. These are people who will take the platform of your organization without regard for anybody in your organization at any level, and they'll drop an F-bomb from the stage. Yep, seen them do it. They record their own videos, their television shows, their podcasts, etc., and they use whatever language they prefer to use, and they really don't care about you at all. See, being relevant is understanding that you can be both authentic and respectful. Now, I'm not going to say I never use profanity. I do still have a temper that I'm doing all I can to get under complete control. Most of the time I manage it well, but sometimes I don't. And in my frustration, I revert back to my old ways, and a few profane words may slip out. But in the professionalism of what I do for a career, as a trainer, as an MC at an event, as a motivational speaker at any size event for any type of audience, that is not appropriate. And what profanity in the middle of a prepared speech says to me, it's not that it burst on the scene because of a moment of high emotion or passion, and you simply got caught up in the moment of the emotion. You wrote this speech. You prepared this speech. You intended for that word to appear. It didn't slip. And if your authenticity is offensive to others because of their sensibilities and their beliefs, you are not respectable because you are not respectful. Relevance is the currency of the information age. I don't care how you talk to your friends. I don't care how you discuss things on a Friday night over a beer or a bong. I couldn't care less. But when you come to my place of business, when you come to my school, when you come to my church, being authentic doesn't mean being willing to offend. Being authentic means being yourself and realizing that maybe this isn't the audience for me because I'm just not mature enough for it. Maybe profanity utters out of my mouth because I don't have the respect for anyone else to regard their wishes. I only care about what I think and feel, and I'll talk however I please. Relevance is the currency of the information age. I can hire a potty mouth anywhere. If you've got something of value to say to me, please take the time to respect my sensibilities and say it in a way that is respectable as well as respectful. Now, when you do that, you're going to find who in this world is on the same wavelength with you. I've mentioned this word before. This word is a key word of relevance. Ask yourself this: do I resonate? Do I resonate with others? Resonance is a powerful word, especially when you think about the idea that our subconscious mind, our conscious mind, our eyeballs, our ears, our very heartbeat, the blood cells that are pumping through our veins, all have their own frequency at the pace that the electrical molecules move about. A frequency. That frequency is transmitted from your mind through the universe to other people's mind, from your heart through the universe to other people's hearts. Maybe you've heard it said in the 60s and 70s kind of movies, oh, that's kind of groovy. No, I get a bad vibe from that guy. I get a bad vibe from her. When I'm just around them, there's just this tension. It just doesn't feel right. That word is a frequency word. It's the frequency on which your heart and your soul operate in the world around you. When you resonate with someone, you're at the highest level of relevance, because what that means is everything that matters to you, everything that emits from you, all of the emotional energy that comes from you in the way that you think, in the way that you speak, in the way that you lead, in the way that you train, in the way that you study, in the way that you show up, all of those things resonate with the people around you. It's real easy to see when a misfit walks in the room. Maybe you've heard the phrase freak out. You may not know that freak originally was F-R-E-Q, short for frequency. The frequency is out of range. The frequency doesn't line up. It doesn't resonate. I heard a musician say one time, and I have a tendency to believe them because I've looked it up in many different ways. I've never tested the theory because I'm a vocalist but not a musician. He said, in our home we have a baby grand piano, and my son plays the trombone. And if my son comes in the room and the lid of that baby grand piano is open and he plays a solid D on that trombone, every D chord at every octave in that piano will begin to vibrate even without touching the keys, because the resonance of that sound causes everything in the same resonance to move. You've probably heard people who can produce a music tone and break a glass with their voice. It's resonance. It's when those frequencies that hold things together are the same, that resonance changes everything. Are you resonant with the people around you, with the people you lead, the people you teach, the people you work for, the people you work with? Are you resonant with them? Do you intentionally resonate with them? Now, if you can answer those questions about yourself, about your teaching style, your leading style, your parenting style, your student style, you will find yourself to be relevant in this information age. And before your resume, before your education or your pedigree, before your list of accomplishments, trophies, ribbons, badges, banners, and awards, your number one currency in the information age is relevance. Are you relatable? Are you respectful? Are you respectable? Do you resonate? Do you spend enough time with people for them to answer the question, what's in it for me? You know what? I just like being around this guy or gal. Their input in my life is profound. Just the way I feel when I walk out of the room having been around them is important. Now, I hope you'll take this video and make good use of it. There are 3 more to follow it as we continue to discuss for the remainder of this week the philosophy, Learn to Roar. I'm J Loren Norris, and you've been watching Tell It Like It Is TV. make sure you hit that subscribe button there on the fan page. Share this video with others. And if you'd like to get these videos on a daily basis, simply go to iTunes, type in my name, and subscribe to the Leading Leaders podcast, and you will get every one of these videos on a regular basis. You can also get them on YouTube, the fan page, or the website, or via email. But please share them with others if you feel like the message that you're getting here is relevant to your life. Stay blessed.